In unit number 3, we have already studied about the inter-integrated circuit, then the modes of the communication like synchronous, asynchronous, serial transmission, parallel transmission. Now, the next topic is controller area network in 3.2. This is the second bus. First bus we have seen inter-integrated circuit manufactured by the Philips company, and this is the controller area network. This is a network, or this is a bus, this is a protocol which is similar to the Ethernet. So Ethernet was established to get connected our different computers on one network, and those computers have their own identification and they can transmit through the ring topology, star topology, mesh topology, or bus topology. So this is also that kind of the network. It supports many masters. As it supports many masters means it can support many slaves as well. So this bus can be controlled by many master devices. Those can be connected to the microprocessor and microcontrollers of the embedded system, and these master devices have their own slaves, or some slaves are common. They uses, as per CAN is concerned, it uses carrier sense multiple access. As we have seen in the I2C, it has collision detection. So collision detection is present over here as well. Built-in collision detection is present, but it is, in addition to that one, it is having carrier sense multiple access. So it is a technology that it is sensing that the data information is coming through which particular node, which particular slave, and accordingly that carrier is going to be sensed by the master device, so that there should not be any collision occurs. If the collision occurs, then collision detection and the maintenance kind of the mechanism is going to be established. It uses the arbitration on the message priority. Arbitration means the hierarchy of the levels, message levels. So when master is going to be transmit, so it is comes into the higher layer of the arbitration to the lower layer of the network. So this is treated as an arbitration. It supports 10-bit of the addressing, and as I already mentioned, as it is having support of multiple masters, it has support of multiple slaves. So these are the simple features of CAN controller. Now when we are talking about its variants, so it has two variants. One is a standard variant which is treated as a standard, and second one is the extended variant. As per standard variant is concerned, it has 11 bit of the identifier specifically for the slaves, and in extended it is having 29 bit of the identifiers for the slaves. It is having one packet format, and within that packet format we can tag the identifiers. If it is of standard CAN, then we prefer 11 bits of the identifiers. If it is extended CAN, then we prefer 29 bits of the identifiers in two different locations. The lower value of the identifier means it is having the higher priority. This is just like our interrupt controllers. When we compare this kind of the system with our desktop computers, where highest interrupt is given to the INT0. So INT0 is the interrupt 0, so 0 is the index actually. So that interrupt 0 is asserted from the real-time clock in the desktop computers. So desktop computers microprocessor gives highest priority to that real-time clock. Similarly, interrupt 10 is there, interrupt 13 is there for variety of the peripherals like mouse, keyboard, display. So when those peripherals request to the microprocessor simultaneously, then microprocessor decides that which is having the less value. If mouse is having less value as per interrupt index is concerned, then that device should be addressed first. That's why it is mentioned that higher priority of the lower value means if the interrupt value is less, then highest priority is given to that particular peripheral. Two nodes cannot send this one identifier is there, means unique identification system is there, that two slaves don't have any one kind of the identification. Remote frame describes the request it describes the request for the information. It describes the request for the information. As per remote frame is concerned, two types of the frame. Data frame is having data transmit on the network, and remote is having request for the information, that send information or information is received correctly, received properly, like this. So this is about identifier and the arbitration. Now coming back to the format, it is having two types of the frame format. One format is dedicated for the 11-bit identifier, and second frame format is dedicated for the 29-bit, where 11-bit and 18-bit identifier is distributed, and collectively they form 29-bit. As per this frame format is concerned, it is having start of the frame, it is having end of the frame, it is having end of the frame, and in between these two frames, if such kind of the frame is repeated over here, then interframe spacing is over there. Interframe spacing. So between two such frame, interframe spacing is there. So our CAN frame format is comprised of start of the frame, end of the frame, then acknowledgement bit, cyclic redundancy check, 0 to 8 byte of the data, and after identifier it is having RTR, means remote transmission request. If its value is 0, means we are expecting data frame. When its value is 1, we are expecting request frame. So this is about the RTR. This is identifier. ID means identifier extension. It is identifier extension. This is not used in any frame format. R0 is not utilized. Here R1 and R0 is not going to be utilized. DLC is a data length code, that what is the length of the data. It is 1 byte, 2 byte likewise. So this is about the CAN frame format as per its transmission is concerned. Cyclic redundancy check is utilized so that when transmitter is sending some information, and if the channel is noisy, the wire is noisy, having some noise, then that data might be vanished, that data might be changed, some error should be propagated within the data. So to validate whatever we have sent, it is correct or not. So cyclic redundancy check is the redundant bits, those are going to be padded at the starting of the frame, so that if those bits is going to be damaged, then slaves again send signal that the particular frame is not going to be received properly, and again resend that one. So cyclic redundancy check is for that purpose. If it is already completely successfully received, then acknowledgement signal is going to be asserted. So this is about the CAN frame format. You can draw rather this format, or if it is specifically been asked that draw the format for 29-bit, then you have to draw this. It is also very simple. You have to remember that it has start bit, it has end bit, interframe spacing, then the identifiers, then the ID, RTR, DLC, this kind of the bits you can pad, and cyclic redundancy check. So this is all about the CAN. As per the features is concerned, it is a serial. It is having half duplex, maximum speed is up to the 1 Mbps. It has 110 nodes. It can support 110 different peripherals. This is a meaning. Error processing mechanism like cyclic redundancy check is there. It is having good kind of the security. Reliable network is there. It supports multiple masters. Disadvantages is that bidirectional half duplex communication is there, means it is expected that if it is a Ethernet, if you are comparing it with the Ethernet, then bidirectional simultaneous communication is expected, but it is not there. That's what it is one of the disadvantage. It supports multi-master and multicast. It supports the multi-masters and it supports multicasts as well. So one node can broadcast the signals to the many slaves. So that is one of the thing, so that there are the chances of collisions. It supports data transfer rate up to the 1 mega bits per second. Maximum length is up to the 40 meters. So this is good actually as compared to the I2C. It is for short distances, but this is for the up to the 40 meters it can support. Its applications are in the four-wheelers for anti-locking braking system, for cruise control, electric power steering, and power windows. So this is specifically for the four-wheelers. Next is universal serial bus. This is a very good bus which is deployed, which is a renowned bus amongst all. It is a plug and play, means you just plug the device and then you can start using that device. Plug and play device. You can connect and reconnect, disconnect it using without rebooting our computer. Previous days, what happened when we install one new peripheral, for example mouse or sound card, video graphic card, at that time after installation you have to boot the system. This is not the case with the USB. You can direct plug the peripheral device and your operating system start recognizing it. So this is the beauty of the universal serial buses. It is having very less power consumption. It is very easy for installation. You have pen drives as well. So you can just plug and that drive is going to be observed on the Windows Explorer. It has multiple device connections up to the 127 devices it supports. So on one USB bus master, you can add the hub of 127 different devices. It has only 4 lines. One is a VCC, second one is ground, positive data and negative data. So these are the only 4 lines present. So it is quite simple and its speed is ranges from 12 Mbps to 480 Mbps. This is also for shorter distances, but this speed is quite good. So you can say that this is the very advanced bus as compared to the I2C and the CAN, but their applications is different. USB is much more preferable for all the computers, desktop computers, laptops. Each and every device now comes with the USB port, so that we can play our video files, we can play our music through the memories of the USB enabled devices. So this is all about the 3.2. In the next session, we are going to complete the serial peripheral interfaces and the GUSH protocol, especially for the electrical power systems.